What is up, YouTube? JankyYGO here. My name is Michael, and we have three new cards to talk about. Two or three. We have a couple. Anyway, and it's exciting because it is Egyptian God support. Ra is not the only one getting love, and that is exciting. These cards are probably cards from the manga. As you can see, God Hand Crusher, and that is one of the cards, spoilers, that is coming up. Also, there's Slifer support, and Slifer being my favorite God card. I'm happy that it's getting support. I want it to have as much support, if not more, or at least on the same level as Ra, or even more and better than Ra, personally. Because in the show, right, they say the Winged Dragon of Ra is the strongest, but then it's also debated that Slifer was the strongest at certain points in the show. I want Slifer to be at least on par with it, and so on and so forth. I want Obelisk to actually get the least support because Obelisk, despite being the weakest in the show, was considered the weakest, I should say, in the show, even though it had a broken ability of gaining infinite attack. But it was immune to all spell and trap cards. So it was probably like the most broken. But but it also is the only one that saw a little bit of play. Not a lot, but it did show up before because it was just a 4,000 monster. It wasn't that hard to summon. Summoning 3 monsters at the time wasn't that hard, and it was hard to get rid of. First up is Superconducting Thunderwave or Thunder Force Attack. Quick play spell, hard once per turn. This card's activation and effect cannot be negated. Right off the back saying, no, this is happening and you can't do anything about it. I don't like it. If you control a monster whose original name is Slifer the Sky Dragon, destroy as many face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. Then, if this card is activated during your main phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of monsters destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this effect. But you can only attack with 1 monster this turn. What I like about this card is it gives you flexibility. You can set it and use it as a disruptive card to blow up all your opponent's stuff, which Slifer kind of does already, but if you're able to break their boards with Dark Ruler No More, let's say, which negates all their stuff, you play that, you can't play any of their monster effects, and then you get out Slifer and play this. Even if you can't deal the damage, the fact that you board wipe them with basically a Raigeki and then get to draw that many cards is nuts. And Slifer's effect actually can be really, really disruptive and annoying if people aren't used to playing against it. Because what Slifer does is if a monster is normal or special summoned, it reduces its attack by 2,000, and if that monster's attack hits 0, that monster just gets destroyed. So it can be really, really annoying for you to play through it and everything. So yeah, great card for Slifer. I hope there's more to come for Slifer. Next up is an Obelisk card called Fist of Fate, which is what his attack was in the anime. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn, and it cannot be negated. Same deal with Slifer. If you control a monster whose original name is Obelisk the Tormentor, negate the effects of 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and if you do, destroy it. And if you do that, for the rest of the turn, its effects are negated, as well as its activated effects of monsters with the same original name. Then, if this card's activated during your main phase, you can destroy all spell and trap cards. Slifer's was kind of like a Raigeki. This one is a Harpy's Feather Duster if you play on your main phase. This is a decent negation. This card is also really good because it just stops your opponent from doing anything, since you negate, then destroy, then everything. And if they summon out more monsters with that effect, if the card doesn't have a hard once per turn effect, it doesn't matter because they can't use monsters with the same original name for their effects. So that is pretty good, and being able to Harpy's Feather Duster is great. And what makes that even more important is that if you somehow get 3 monsters out, right, and they have a bunch of back row to tribute for Obelisk, they can't respond because Obelisk and all the god cards say that their summon cannot be negated and you can't activate any cards in response to the normal summon. So when the god card's normal summon happens, it just happens, and then this allows you to possibly destroy all their back row. Very neat card. It's a decent disruptive card. So is this. That's really good for the Egyptian god cards, is to get disruptive cards. Now, the next card is probably the best card out of the 3, and it's generic god support, so it can work with any of them, and that is crossing or exchanging souls. Quick play, hard once per turn. During the main phase, immediately after this effect resolves, you tribute summon 1 divine beast. So it's important to note, because it says you immediately do it, it gets around the whole double summon and on everything, because double summon you can only gain those effects once per turn, but because it says it immediately normal summons it, you can get around it. When this when you do, you can also tribute monsters your opponent controls as if you control them, but you can activate only 1 card or effect other than divine beasts per turn until the end of the next turn. So that what that means is that you contribute all your opponent's monsters. Like if your opponent has 3 monsters, you flip this up and then just tribute all 3 of them, because to summon your god card, which is pretty insane. And on top of that, the downside is you can't activate any effects until the end of the next turn. However, being able to blow up everything, and the fact that you got a lot of quick play spell cards in these, means that you don't have really that big of a downside, which is pretty good. This card is mainly for disruption. If you go first, and since you're playing a god card deck, your deck's probably slow, and your opponent just starts comboing off, right? Once they get 3 monsters on the field, you just go flip and completely disrupt them. It's like a Nibiru with extra steps, but a little bit but it also could be better because Nibiru requires 5 special summons. This just, as soon as they have 3 monsters on the field, boom, they're donezo. Or if they have 2 monsters on the field and you only have 1, you can still do it. Great card overall for any Egyptian god card and any casuals that are wanting to play this. I don't think this deck so far is going to be meta, at least not with these 3 cards, if this is the only cards added to them. But it is nice to see all of these get support. Next up, Golden Idol. So we got some relinquished support. Dark Spellcaster effect, level 1, 0/0. Second effect of this is a hard once per turn. Once per turn, quick effect. You can look at your opponent's hand. This card's name also becomes 1,000 Eyes Idol until end of turn. If this card is banished or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls and equip it to a relinquished or ice restrict monster that cannot be normal summoned or set. While that monster is equipped, the monster also gains attack. So it's another way to get more monsters equipped onto your eyes restrict and stuff like that. A neat little thing you can do is if your opponent has multiple monsters, and so relinquished obviously have their Millennium Eyes thing to, you discard hand trap to like eat something on the field. You have its own effect to just steal something. So in theory, you can get up to 3, which is pretty absurd, because you can instant fusion out. Let's say you instant fusion out 1,000 Eyes Restrict, eat one of their monsters, use the hand trap. Well, not 1,000 Eyes Restrict, Millennium Eyes Restrict, I guess would be a better example. Yeah, okay, Millennium Eyes Restrict. Even if they don't activate one of their effects to and everything when it summons out, so you can't absorb it, that's okay, because you have the hand trap and you have this. And something you can do with this is if it's sent to the graveyard by card effects, so that means rituals, fusion material, So when you fusion summon with it, because it says Thousand Eyes, its name becomes Thousand Eyes Idol. And on top of that, you can use this with Spell Book of Knowledge to send it to the graveyard, draw 2 cards, and eat one of their monsters. Just more synergy for the deck. Next up are some reprints. Immortal Phoenix, Curse of Fire, Dragonfire, Relinquished, Blue Eyes, and just more cards from the Dual Monsters era. Anyway, that is it for today. If it is your birthday today, happy birthday. If you want to send me cool deck profiles or replays, my email is in the description. I would love to see what you have to send to me. What do you guys think of the new Egyptian God cards support? Are you guys excited for it? Egyptian God cards are usually a fan favorite thing, but you can't really play them because they're pretty awful. But hopefully with this and the raw support, at least this Exchanging Souls plus raw makes it a little bit better, because the raw support isn't bad, it's just not good enough. But who knows? The Relinquished deck is actually a really fun deck if you guys haven't played it, and it can be really annoying for your opponents if it's built correctly. And that's it. And of course, and as always, have a wonderful day.